Hello, my Bill 4000 Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's having a great day. If not, I hope it gets better from here. We are back with a new MrBallen video. This one is titled Too High to Ride. Places you can't go, but people who went anyways, part 38. All right. Oh, my hat. I'm excited to get into today's story. If you guys are excited as I am, please go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cup with something special. Let's get intrigued. Too high to ride. Man, I've never been too high to ride. All right, let's get into today's story.
Today's story is a places you can't go and someone who went anyways type of story, and it is pure nightmare fuel, especially if you're claustrophobic.
Oh no.
And then after you watch this full
Oh no. I am claustrophobic. Oh God.
full feature-length story, be sure you stick around for 4 more bonus places you can't go stories. Each of these bonus stories have been completely re-edited, so even if you've heard them before, this will be a totally new viewing experience. But before we get into those stories, if you're a fan of the strange...
Whoa, 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 MrBallen. Hey now. See, we're still doing the places you can't go and people who went anyways. Like, okay, for those of you who are new to the channel or anything like that, on Mondays we always do a new MrBallen. Tuesday we do Coffee House Crime. Wednesday is Watcher Wednesday. Thursday is no. Oh, I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I've been doing the schedule for a fucking year and I still don't remember. New MrBallen videos on Monday. That chapter Tuesday. Watcher Wednesday. Coffee House Crime Thursday. Old MrBallen videos on Friday, and then Saturday is just usually some scary, spooky, stupid little videos that, you know, it's the weekend, it's, you know, fun. I don't know if we've seen all the ones that's going to be in his remastered, and I would really hate to watch them before I've watched them, because the main thing is I like to not have seen it previously. And I know, you know, sometimes the stories from the different channels I watch overlap, and you know, it's basically the same story just told by different people, but it's still different. Okay, how about we watch the new one, because he said after the new one would start the old ones. We'll watch the new one and then we'll just go ahead and end the video there. I'll say my goodbyes and everything, and then what I'll do is I will sit down and I will look through the videos and see if, and go to my channel and I will see if I've done them. If I have done them, then next Friday, because I've already recorded this Friday's video. If you haven't been a part of this channel for very long, I record all my videos on Sunday. It's the only day I have to do a lot of recording. The new MrBallen video is always the last video I do because it comes out usually on Sunday about 2 o'clock. I try to get all my videos done early, so, you know, I've already done this Friday's MrBallen. I've already done all my videos for this week. This is the only one I have left. So keeping that in mind, if they are videos we have watched already, I will react to the 4 videos that we have not seen in this video. Does that make sense? Did I say stupid? I said stupid, didn't I? We will react to the last 4 videos of this one next Friday. If we have seen them. If we haven't seen them, I'm going to hold off on that. I will put it in a folder and I will mark it and I will leave a big ass description so I remember what it is and why it's there and what I need to do. And once we get to the final video in his remastered section, you know, last of the original ones, the non-remastered one, then I will redo the master one. But if we have already seen all of them, I'll go ahead and get it on the docket for next Friday. Sound good? I hope so, because I've already edited this video and it's out, and if not, then fuck. If so, then yay. But yeah, we'll definitely watch the new one, the new places you can't go, but people who went anyways, and then yeah, we'll just go ahead and stop the video there, and I'll say my goodbyes. I'll do my outro, and I will look and see if we've already reacted to them. If we've already reacted to all the other ones, we'll go ahead and put it up for next Friday. If not, then I'm going to hold off until we have reacted to them all, and then we'll redo the master ones, because I hate to see the remaster one after and not seen the original. You know what I mean? That would really suck for me and for you guys, because then, you know, my reaction ain't going to be as original, and we won't know what the differences are. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this story, and then we'll go from there on the rest of it. If anyone has a problem with that, I do apologize. Like I said, it's already edited, it's already up, it's already out. I don't know what else to do after that. But I think that's just going to be the best way for me and for, you know, you guys who like to watch me react to stuff, you know, kind of blindly. I don't like to have known what's already in the video when I react to it. And if they are different enough to where it's going to be a different viewing experience, that's fine. That's fine. I'll do that. I love MrBallen's videos. 100% don't matter. So if that's all right, I think that's how we'll do it. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the first part of today's story, and we'll go from there. Go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, couple something special. Let's get spooky. I had to redo it all.
Dark and mysterious, delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place, because that's all we do, and we upload once a week. So, if that's of interest to you, the next time you take the like button camping with you, offer to set up their tent, and then immediately pitch it directly on a fire. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. Itchy. Okay, let's get into today's stories.
I don't know if it's my system or what, but MrBallen's audio is sounding a little weird.
At 12:20 a.m. on August 17th, 2020, a police sergeant named Kevin Bingham was sitting inside of his cruiser in a parking lot in Scottsdale, Arizona, with the windows rolled down when he heard a strange sound. He couldn't place exactly what it was. At first, it sort of sounded like a woman screaming, but then it kind of morphed into more of like a screech, like a cat would make in a fight. But at the same time, this sound was sort of echoey, almost like it was in a cave or something. But Sergeant Bingham is looking around him, and you know, there's a school and a baseball field, there's houses and apartment buildings. I mean, he's in a typical American neighborhood. There's no caves anywhere near him. But regardless of where specifically this noise was originating from, what was clear to Sergeant Bingham is that whoever or whatever was making this noise sounded like they needed help, and so he decided he would go investigate. So Sergeant Bingham left the parking lot, turned right onto the road, and began driving roughly in the direction of the sound. But again, remember, the sound is kind of echoey, it's very hard to place where it's coming from. But as he continued driving down this road, Sergeant Bingham realized the noise was getting louder, and so he must be getting closer. And so just ahead of Sergeant Bingham at the end of this road is this huge health club. There's a big fitness center, and then behind it, kind of attached to it, was an outdoor pool area, and then surrounding the pool area was a 12-foot tall brick fence. And so Sergeant Bingham thought, you know, based on the proximity to this noise, you know, maybe the sound, the screeching sound, is coming from somewhere in this health club. And so Sergeant Bingham drives up to the health club.
That's probably not a sound that you would regularly hear in a health club, is like, you know, someone screaming that sounded like, you know, some kind of feral animal in a cave. That's a little peculiar there, sir.
Parks his cruiser, he gets out, turns on his flashlight, and right away he hears more screeching, and immediately Sergeant Bingham can tell it's coming from inside of the enclosed pool area, behind that 12-foot tall wall. And so Sergeant Bingham can't see into the pool area, but again, he can tell, you know, whatever it is, it's in there. And also, at the same time he's kind of pinpointing the sound, he can tell that this noise, this screeching sound, really doesn't sound like an animal. It sounds like a person. And so Sergeant Bingham runs up to the brick wall and he listens really intently to see if maybe in addition to the screeching sound, if he can hear, you know, splashing sounds or some other activity inside of the pool area that would kind of give away what's actually happening. You know, maybe somebody snuck in after hours and now they're struggling to swim in one of these pools. But as he strained to listen, all he heard over and over again was the screeching sound, but nothing else. There's no splashing, there's no other activity, it's just the screeching sound. And so as Sergeant Bingham was wondering how he was going to get into this pool area to see what was going on, he looked over and he saw there were 2 gym cleaners coming out of the fitness center. And so Sergeant Bingham ran over to them and he asked them, like, hey, are you the only 2 that are working in this health club right now? Or is there somebody out in the pool area? And the cleaners looked at Sergeant Bingham and just shook their head and said, no, we are the only ones working right now. And we've been listening to that screeching sound too. We don't know what it is. And then shortly after they said this to Sergeant Bingham, suddenly the noises, the screeching sounds, changed. And it went from just being these guttural, high-pitched screeches to somebody yelling out a single word: help. And so the second Sergeant Bingham heard this, he grabbed his radio and called for backup. About 2 minutes later, another officer showed up, and right away the cleaners opened up the doors to the fitness center, and Bingham and the other officer ran inside. They cut through the huge gym to the very back, where there were doors that led out to the pool area. And this pool area is huge. It's actually the biggest part of this health club. And so they open up the doors, they go outside, and both officers are expecting to, see this person that's calling out for help. But instead, once they get outside, it's eerily silent, and there's absolutely no activity anywhere. Right in front of them are these 2 pools. There's this huge lap pool, no one's in it, the water is calm, and then next to it is another pool, a smaller pool that has a water playground right in the middle of it, but that one as well is devoid of people and totally calm. And so the officers are looking at each other like, where is this person that clearly was calling for help a second ago? But just then, the cries for help began again, and this time they were able to kind of pinpoint where it was coming from. It was coming from a third pool, kind of in the back of the pool area, beyond these 2 pools and beyond some cabanas. There was this third shallow pool with 2 water slides going into it. And from the sound of these screeches, it sounded very much like this person must be in or near these slides. And so at this point, Sergeant Bingham became a little bit skeptical that whoever this was really needed help. He felt like it was more likely that, somebody had just snuck in after hours who maybe was high on drugs or mentally ill, and now they're just kind of causing a scene inside one of the slides. Or maybe it's somebody who snuck in just to play a prank, to screw with the cops and act like they were in trouble when they really weren't. So Sergeant Bingham looks at the other officer.
I watch YouTube.
They kind of are like, okay, let's go see what's going on here. And they make their way over to the slides. And when they got there, there's 2 slides. There's one slide, which is blue, and it's an open top. So if you were sliding down it, you'd be visible the entire time you're on the slide. And there's nobody on this slide. So whoever is making these sounds, they're not on or in the blue slide. But the other slide, the red slide, was a tube slide. And so if you were going down this slide, you'd be hidden inside the tube. And so both officers are thinking, okay, the person who's yelling out for help has got to be inside of this red slide. And so the 2 officers went to the base of the red slide and they looked up inside of it, but they couldn't see anyone. But it was a big enough slide that it was possible they were, just beyond their line of sight. And so Sergeant Bingham just yelled in like, hey, are you okay? And the person did respond to this, but they didn't respond with words. They just responded with more screeching. And so Sergeant Bingham tells the other officer, hey, stay right here at the foot of the slide. I'm going to go up and go down the slide. We'll meet in the middle. We'll find this person and we'll get them out of here. And so the other officer stays put and Sergeant Bingham goes to the stairs. He makes his way up to the top of the platform that led to both slides. He went to the top of the red slide and he looked down into it, but he couldn't see anybody. But again, the slide was long enough. It's possible that from both sides, looking up and looking down, your line of sight would not allow you to see the person right in the middle.
Gotcha.
And so Sergeant Bingham yelled into the slide like, hey, I'm coming down and my partner's coming up. We're going to find you here. Like, if you're in there, go down, get out of the slide. But again, the response they got was not words. It was just more guttural screaming and moaning. And so feeling kind of annoyed, Sergeant Bingham gets his flashlight and aims it straight ahead of him, and he begins slowly making his way down the slide. And at the same time, his partner at the bottom began making his way up the slide. And so as they're doing it, both officers are yelling like, hey, if you're in here, we're coming in, like, let's go, you gotta get out of here. But again, all they're hearing is more screaming. And as the officers get closer and closer to the middle, they're expecting to see someone. But then suddenly, both officers come face to face right in the middle of this red slide, and there's nobody there. It's just them. And so at this point, both officers are totally freaked out. This did not make sense. They've been listening to this person screaming out for the last few minutes, and it sounded so much like they were in this slide. Like, how could they not be? And so Sergeant Bingham and the other officer get out of the slide, and they start screaming out for this person, like, hey, tell us where you are. But in response, they just continued to get more and more desperate sounding screeches. And it sounded like the screeches really were in this red slide, or at least somewhere really close by.
What the fuck?
But there's no one anywhere near them. There's nowhere for this person to be. It didn't make any sense. And so having no other ideas, Sergeant Bingham went over to the blue slide, the open top slide that very clearly nobody is on, but he hopped on it and thought, let me just check. And he began going up the slide. Now, this slide was not a straight slide. It actually went around in the middle like a corkscrew. And so as Sergeant Bingham began walking up the slide began to turn, and so he began walking along this corkscrew section of the slide on the way to the top. And about halfway up the corkscrew section, when he's basically halfway up the slide, Sergeant Bingham just stopped and just kind of scanned around because now he's at a higher position, a better vantage point across this outdoor area. And he's looking all around him, despite still hearing these screams coming out of what feels like right where he is. He doesn't see anybody.
Nothing. What?
But then, right as he's about to continue going up the slide, something catches his eye just below him. And he stops and he kind of leans over the edge of this blue slide and looks straight down, and he could not believe what he saw. It would turn out earlier that night, so right before 12:20 a.m., which is when Sergeant Bingham first heard that screeching sound, a 32-year-old man named Ryan Kelly, who was naked and high on meth, snuck into the pool area. He climbed over that wall, jumped inside, and eventually he found his way over to the stairs that led up to the platform that allowed you to go down the red and blue slides.
Yeah.
And once he got up there, instead of, sliding down the slide, he began walking down that blue slide, the open top slide that has a corkscrew section in the middle. He began walking down it, and when he got about halfway down it, around the part where it began to corkscrew, he stopped and at some point must have looked around him and noticed there was a support beam basically running from the ground straight up, basically as high as the blue slide was, where there were all these arms branching off of it that supported the corkscrew section of the slide. It was just holding the corkscrew up. And from where Ryan was standing, he would have had the ability to see the top of this beam. And he would have seen that the top of this beam was open. It was a round beam with about an 18-inch diameter across. And to any sane person, it would be very apparent that you're not supposed to go inside of this support beam. But Ryan,
stay out of strange holes.
being high on meth, decided he would go inside of this support beam. He climbed up to the top of it and then wedged his feet into this narrow opening. And Ryan's a pretty skinny guy. He's naked. He's slick with sweat. And he began lowering himself into this pipe, this hollow pipe that goes all the way to the ground.
Oh, why?
And after he got his feet in there, and
I don't know why I'm asking why it's meth. Meth makes you do some stupid shit, bro.
his legs in there, he's forcing himself down.
I've seen some
He finally got
shit.
most of his torso in, and then he would have realized his hands would not be able to fit unless he put them over his head. And so he put his arms over his head and just continued to wiggle himself down into this pipe. And at some point, probably around the time that his shoulders cleared the pipe, he kind of slipped pretty quickly about halfway down the pipe. Not to the ground, basically suspended right in the middle of this tiny, tight pipe. Now, we don't know for sure if Ryan intended to get out of this pipe at some point, but once he was about halfway down the pipe with his arms up over his head, there was absolutely no way he could get himself out again. There was just nowhere to pull or anything. He's completely wedged, barely able to breathe, and on top of that, he's in Arizona. It's one of the hottest places in the world, and on top of that, they were experiencing a heat wave, and his body, his naked body, is pressed all against the inside of this metal pipe that conducts heat. And so he's basically in this really tight space, cooking alive, and there's no way to get out. And so at some point, as Ryan is likely realizing that he is completely screwed here, and he's beginning to literally cook to death, he began trying to scream out for help, but he was likely in so much pain, and also again under the influence of meth, that he couldn't quite yell out words. He just let out those horrible screeching sounds, and those were the noises that Sergeant Bingham heard. But then when Sergeant Bingham and his partner got into the pool area, they were able to identify roughly where Ryan was stuck, but Ryan, again, couldn't make words. He's so messed up, he's in so much pain that he just continued to scream, and because he was in that pipe, it kind of created this weird echoey phenomenon where when he would scream out, his voice would come out of the pipe and almost kind of get thrown around the park. That's why Sergeant Bingham and the other officer couldn't quite figure out where he was, and at one point it sounded like he was in that red slide, when obviously he wasn't. And so finally, at some point, Sergeant Bingham walked up the blue slide. He's halfway up, he's hearing Ryan screaming, and he turns and he looks down, and from his perspective where he was standing, he was looking down into that pipe. And looking up at him inside of this pipe is Ryan, arms up over his head, wide-eyed, screeching, trying to be saved. But unfortunately for Ryan, his rescue was a very technically difficult thing to pull off. He was too far down the pipe for anyone to reach him to pull him up, and when they threw a rope down to him inside of the pipe, Ryan was too weak to grab onto the rope. And so for hours and hours, rescue crews tried to get Ryan out. The whole time Ryan is panicking and screaming and cooking to death basically. You know, they couldn't get him out, and so finally at the 7-hour mark after he was found, they had to bring in a crane and they had to fully dismantle the slide and pull that pipe out of the ground. But unfortunately, by that point, it was too late for Ryan. He had passed away. An autopsy would show that ultimately what killed Ryan was the combination of the meth in his bloodstream and the extreme heat he was exposed to inside of that pipe.
Damn.
As many of you may know, the biggest event ever to come out of Ballen Studios is fast approaching. From September 26th to October 20th, I will be on tour. I'll be visiting 15 cities across the United States, telling strange, dark, and mysterious stories live and in person. Last year we did one show. It was a sold-out show in Austin, Texas, to kind of trial run this concept, and it's basically just me on stage telling stories, and people loved it, and there was huge demand for more, and so here we are, doing 15 more shows. Tickets for these 15 shows have been selling very quickly, but there are still tickets available if you act basically right now. All you have to do is go to tour.ballenstudios.com, find the show that is, nearest you or whichever one you're interested in, click on the link, and if there are tickets still available, you can buy them through that link. And if you're lucky, there might even be some VIP tickets left, which will give you access to meet this guy, if that's of interest to you. Also, just for our VIP ticket holders, bring your copy of our graphic novel and I'll sign it for you when we meet. And so the way you get the book is either you have already pre-ordered it or you can buy a copy at the theater. We'll be selling them on site. Again, I'm going to be on tour from September 26th to October 20th, telling stories in person. It's going to be great. If you want to go, there are still tickets, but they're going quick. Just go to tour.ballenstudios.com and get your tickets today. Okay, back to the stories.
Oh, is this starting the remaster? Yep. All right. That's starting to remaster. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't know if we have watched all of these or not, and I would really hate to watch something because on Fridays we do classic MrBallen. So we're going to stop it here, and I'll look through and see if I've reacted to all these. If I have, then not this Friday, but the following Friday, we will watch these. Sound good? I hope so, because like I said, this has already been edited and it's up on YouTube, and if not, then all right. I really enjoyed today's video, and hopefully we get to enjoy the rest of today's video, not this Friday, but next Friday. If y'all enjoyed what part of it we got to watch, but if y'all enjoyed that, I don't know, man, this is weird. Like, shit. All right, if y'all enjoyed that, fuck, MrBallen, you got me all messed up. All right, if y'all enjoyed today's video, if you all enjoyed today's video as much as I did, please go down there, leave a thumbs up. While you're down there, if you want, go on over and slap that subscribe button, become part of the B5 Nation. Yeah, that's how we'll do it. I know it sucks. We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. All right. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. MrBallen, messing with my flow, bro. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. I don't care. It's all good.